AP is calling what is the pivotal race of today. Attorney General Ken Paxton has won the runoff for the Texas Senate GOP nomination, beating four-term incumbent John Cornyn. So it will be Ken Paxton moving on to take part in the general election against the Democratic nominee, the far younger James Tallarico. The fear among GOP strategists had been that Paxton will be far easier for Tallarico to beat than John Cornyn would have been. But Paxton is the Trump nominee. Paxton is now the GOP nominee. The race to November begins. This is a very, very, very expensive primary. GOP strategists worry it's going to be a very expensive run-up to the midterm elections now, because Ken Paxton may need a lot of help given some of the baggage that he's had. Very early race call here tonight for what we expected to be a pretty competitive race. Only about 5 minutes after all the polls closed in Texas, even as it looked like John Cornyn was making a little bit of headway in some areas. This is a pretty resounding defeat for a man who has been in the United States Senate for 24 years, who spent a quarter of that time as his party's #2 leader, the Senate Majority Whip. John Cornyn's run now coming to an end. Ken Paxton is the GOP nominee for Senate, setting up that James Tallarico fight come November. I will be interested tomorrow when President Trump
4 decades and 18 consecutive campaign wins, tonight we've come up short in this primary runoff. You know, a few years ago, I had a friend of mine say, "You know what makes God laugh?" He said, "When we make plans." I've spent most of my time in the Senate building the Republican Party in Texas and in the U.S. Senate, and I've always supported the Republican ticket, and I intend to do so again in this general election. I've said throughout this race that I trust the voters of Texas, and they've made their decision, and I must respect it. Tonight I'm joined up here by 3 women who mean everything to me, and without whom I never would have enjoyed the incredible ride and public service career that I've had for many, many years. Of course, my wife Sandy of 46 years and counting, and then our daughters Danley and Haley, of whom I'm enormously proud, and they mean everything to me. Politics is hard on families, especially, but I believe, and I know my family believes, that public service is an honorable calling. Serving others is a high purpose. And while much about politics is ugly, we choose to serve through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Of course, we could not have run this race without an outstanding campaign team that has served me so well through so many campaigns, truly the finest I've ever worked with. To Rob, Mayanne, and Andy, and the entire campaign team who worked tirelessly and gave everything they had, and who believed in me, I want to express my gratitude. Of course, I want to thank my U.S. Senate staff, ably led in Washington, D.C. by Drew, and in Texas by David. You work hard for 32 million Texans every day that I'm honored to represent, with long hours, high stress, and job uncertainty. I want to express my gratitude to my staff for their incredible professionalism and dedication to the 32 million people of Texas that I'm honored to represent. To everyone who's worked with me, alongside of me for all these many years, I just want to say thank you. And then to my supporters in this campaign, more than 1,000 current and former elected official endorsements, more than 30 statewide organizations, to every financial supporter, every volunteer, everyone who voted for me in this election, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Tonight I'm reminded of something Teddy Roosevelt said in 1910. He said, "It's not the critic that counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and blood and sweat, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be among those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat." A number of years ago, up in West Texas, that's not the region, that's the city, where there was a terrible catastrophe, a county commissioner up there said something that stuck with me all these years. He said, "Being a Texan doesn't describe where you're from. It describes who your family is." And for the past 2.5 decades, I have represented this family in the United States Senate. During that time, I helped write and pass a number of historic tax reform bills, focus on building our military for tomorrow, helping put hundreds of conservative judges on the federal bench, work to take Washington's boot off the necks of Texas job creators, and help tackle some of our nation's most challenging problems. In this runoff election, approximately 8% of registered voters made their voices heard. And of that 8% who voted, roughly 60% said they were ready for a different direction. Another reminder that those who show up decide for those who do not. There's a simple rule in elections, you've heard me say it before, and that is the candidate who gets the most votes wins. The party in the majority gets to govern, and my hope is to keep my party in power for generations. I am an optimist by nature, which is just another way of saying I am a Texan. Yesterday when I was in San Antonio, where I stood alongside of 109 students who had been admitted to service academies for this upcoming year, this was the 20th time that we've had this academy send-off, and it remains my favorite event of the year, because these young men and women, the leaders of our military and our communities in our nation tomorrow, give me great hope and optimism for our future. Well, a scripture verse comes to mind as well, where the Apostle Paul said, I've fought the good fight, I've finished the race, and I've kept the faith. Over the next 7 months, of my service in the United States Senate, I intend to continue my work to help make this nation a better place for all Texans and all Americans. Thank you very much, and may God bless Texas, and may he continue to bless the United States of America. I'll have more to say later.
From Ken Paxton at a suburban Dallas hotel after he won the Texas primary for the GOP Senate nomination, the night's most watched race. We have just heard from the man he defeated, whose Senate career it will be ending come later this year. John Cornyn, first elected in 2002, losing the GOP primary tonight. The first senator in Texas history as a Republican to lose the primary. A very subdued event at a hotel in Austin. John Cornyn saying simply, tonight we've come up short. He noted he has spent his career building the GOP in both Texas and the Senate. Quote, I've always supported the Republican ticket, and I intend to do so again. Implicitly saying he will, in fact, vote for Ken Paxton come November. Cornyn later saying, my hope is to keep my party in power for generations. And as he reflected on the end of a long career in public service, before becoming a senator, he was on the Texas State Supreme Court. He was the state's Attorney General, which is the position Ken Paxton holds right now. John Cornyn saying simply, I fought the good fight, I kept the faith, and I finished the race. Meantime, the picture you're seeing now, Plano, Texas, a Dallas suburb, a prayer offered by Ken Paxton's son-in-law before his father-in-law takes the stage. Ken Paxton trailed John Cornyn in the primary back in March, but neither man got 50% of the vote, so here we were in a runoff. President Trump had said days after that primary that he would endorse someone. He did not until late last week. That someone was Ken Paxton, who scored a resounding victory in Texas tonight, a race called just minutes after the polls closed statewide. Let's listen in to this hotel outside Dallas, the Ken Paxton, what is now victory
welcome
party.
Conservative icon Sarah Gonzalez.
What is up? I am so excited to be here with you guys tonight to celebrate the victory of soon-to-be Senator Ken Paxton. So, I don't know how many of you know the work that I do here in the state of Texas, but I have done a lot of investigating into H-1B fraud and H-1B visa abuse. And it's been really eye-opening for me seeing all of this awful things just being done right in front of our very eyes, right in broad daylight. And I gotta tell you, pretty much the only statewide official who is helping me in this is none other than our own Attorney General Ken Paxton. He has been on it. And when I look at the issues that matter to Texans and I think about what you guys are talking about, the Islamification of this state is a very important issue to you guys, is it not? Yeah. Who has been working to eliminate the Epic City and other Sharia compounds? None other than Ken Paxton. So I'm sure you guys are thinking what I'm thinking. I'm going to be sad to lose him as the Attorney General. There are very big shoes to fill, but I got to tell you, Senator Paxton has a pretty nice ring to it, doesn't it? Yeah. Just kind of flows off the tongue, right? So here's the thing. I don't think that's allowed. I'm not sure he can do both. So here's the thing. While we celebrate tonight, and please do celebrate tonight because this has been a very long, hard road, I just want to remember, I want you guys to remember, this is step one, all right? Step two comes in November. And if you thought Jasmine Crockett was radical, you ain't seen nothing yet, okay? James Tallarico is a very dangerous radical leftist. James Tallarico believes that God is non-binary. James Tallarico believes that there are numerous genders, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, 65, a million. Do you believe that there are numerous genders? No. Do you think that that is representative of the state of Texas? No. James Tallarico is a vegan, which automatically disqualifies him, I gotta say. That right off the top, eliminated. Get out of the state. James Tallarico, when asked who he loves other than family and friends, they're like, give me just what one thing do you love other than family and friends? He's like, I love trans kids. Check his hard drive, please. And James Tallarico, parents, listen to this. As a teacher, set up a Facebook page for 11 and 12-year-old students to contact him for homework help. Is that setting off red alarm bells for anyone else? Yeah. So listen, I'll end with this. In 2024, at the Texas GOP convention, I sat down with Texas AG Ken Paxton and I asked him, do you know anyone who could primary John Cornyn? And he said, I think it's in the cards. And now we see where that journey led. Give it up one more time for your soon-to-be senator. As long as you guys turn out in November, are you going to turn out? I look forward to calling him Senator Ken Paxton. Thank you, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing the 26th District of Texas in Congress, please welcome Brandon Gill.
We are so back, aren't we? Texas to Washington. Somebody who's going to stand up for our values, aren't we? Somebody who's going to fight to keep the border secure, to deport illegal aliens, and yes, to get the Save America Act passed. This is not good enough anymore in Washington to just say the right things. We need somebody who's going to do the right things. And that person is Senator Ken Paxton. It's been a long road to get here. I was proud to have endorsed Paxton weeks ago, whenever he was right in the middle of the fight. But now we're at a point where it's the Reds versus the Blues. It's shirts and skins now. It's time for Republicans to come together, to unite, to make sure that we send a Republican Ken Paxton to the Senate. Because I don't think that the people of Texas want to see James Tallarico anywhere near Washington or anywhere near our children. I don't think the people of Texas believe that God is non-binary, do they? No. I don't think that the people of Texas believe that there are 6 sexes, do they? No. What I would like to ask Mr. Tallarico is, since you've said that, why don't you explain to the people of Texas, who are these other 4 genders? I think we want to know. I think we'd like to know how you come up with the perverted idea that the Bible is pro-abortion. That's not Texas values. My favorite was whenever Mr. Tallarico, not long ago, was on a podcast, and the podcast host asked him, she said, what are some things that you love, Mr. Tallarico, that's not your family or your friends? And the first thing that popped into this guy's mind was trans kids. I think that's pretty weird. What kind of grown man daydreams about trans kids? James Tallarico, apparently. But those are not Texas values. Those are not the values that we have fought for. We want somebody who's going to secure the border, who's going to kick perverts out of our classrooms, who's going to stand against the Islamization of Texas, and who is going to fight for every single person in this room. And that's why I'm very glad that in just a few minutes we are going to hear from our soon-to-be Senator, Ken Paxton. Thank you guys for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next United States Senator for the Republic of Texas, Ken Paxton.
I feel speechless in a way, but you know, they're not going to let me do that. Wow. To the people in this room, to the people watching at home, and to the people of the great state of Texas, tonight, we just made history. I want to thank my family, my kids, my grandchildren, the Paxton Patriots, and every single person here today. Without your love, your support, and your prayers, we would not be here tonight celebrating this incredible victory. I'd also like to thank all of the grassroots, local, state, and national leaders who supported this campaign, including Congressman Brandon Gill, who just spoke, Lance Gooden, Congressman Nels, Congressman Wesley Hunt, and Congressman Ronnie Jackson. I'd also like to thank Scott Pressler and Turning Point Action and Turning Point Action for their endorsements. And then there's one person who I think you might know, President Donald J. Trump. When everyone in Washington told him to abandon me and abandon the people of Texas, he didn't listen. Instead, he gave his complete and total endorsement. President Trump is the leader of our party, and his endorsement in this is the most powerful force in politics. And I'm honored to have his support, and I look forward to working with him in the Senate to deliver for Texas. Tonight, we just sent a Texas-sized message to Washington. I said it in March, and I'll say it again now. Today, change was on the ballot, and change won. Let me be clear, this is not just my win, this is your win. We just proved that this Senate seat doesn't belong to Washington. It belongs to you, the hardworking men and women of this state. We went up against $150 million in all the attacks in the world, and you know what happened? The voters declared loud and clear a simple truth that we know in our hearts and in our souls: Texas is not for sale. Now I want to take a minute to say something about Senator Cornyn. I want to thank Senator Cornyn for his service to this state. John has dedicated much of his life to serving Texas. He's worked diligently for years to help Texas. And for that spirit of service to the Lone Star State and our nation, I'm very grateful. Thank you, John. So no matter who you supported in this race, whether it was me, Senator Cornyn, or you voted for someone different in March, I want to thank every single Texan, and I want to let them know that I want to earn your support. Tonight is not the end of a campaign. Tonight is the beginning of the fight to preserve every value we hold dear. The future of Texas and the future of America is on the line, and I intend to do everything I can to expand our movement. I've won 3 statewide elections because I know how critical it is for our party to come together, and that's what we must do now. Without a shadow of a doubt, I will be the Democrats' #1 target in November. Texas will be the radical left's #1 priority, but if there's one thing I know about Texans, it's that we're not going to let them take it. This campaign is not about red versus blue. It's about so much more. My opponent is the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated. He's even running a vegan campaign, whatever that is. He goes by a few names that you may all have heard of. Some people know him as Tofu Tallarico. Some people call him Six-Gender Jimmy. I've even heard some people call him James Tallarico. And others refer to him simply as Low T Tallarico. But no matter what you call him, let me tell you this: James Tallarico is a threat to everything we hold dear in this state and in this country. He's a threat to our security and our safety. He wants open borders and even said a welcome mat should be at our southern border. He's a threat to our children. He wants boys and girls sports, gender mutilation surgery performed on kids. And when asked what he loved outside of his family and friends, you heard what Brandon Gill said. His first answer was trans kids. That's weird, and that's a radical guy. He's a threat to our prosperity and Texas economy. He said you can't be a Christian if you support the oil and gas industries. He wants to raise your taxes, and he won't do a single thing to lower costs for you and your family. And finally, he's a threat to our very way of life and our values. I mean, he's a vegan who thinks God is non-binary and that there's actually 6 biological sexes. It's hard to imagine someone more radical than that. No matter what he says or how much he raises, the reality is that James Tallarico is going to be nothing more than a Texas-based puppet for Chuck Schumer and the National Democrats. Yes. He wants the open borders policies of Biden, the woke agenda of AOC. He's going to push trillions more in spending that's going to continue to drive up prices for all of us. He can never become our senator, but I need your help. We know James Tallarico is going to raise more money than any Democrat in America. So I need everyone watching to go to kenpaxton.com and donate right now and support this campaign. Every Democrat, and I would say every Republican, knows that if we lose this state, if Republicans lose this state, we lose the country. Amen. But I truly believe that together, not only will we win this race, but we can ensure that America's best days are ahead of us. Yes. You see, I'm not just running against the Democrats. I'm running to deliver for you, just as I have as Attorney General. I'm running to lower your cost of living because you deserve to be able to buy a home, afford groceries, and have a high quality of health care without being forced to stay up at night worrying about how you're going to pay your monthly premium or pay off your debt. In the Senate, I'll support President Trump's America First agenda and finally secure our nation's elections by passing the Save America Act. I've taken on big food and big pharma as Attorney General. And I'm going to continue doing that in the Senate because making America healthy again is critical for our nation's future. As Attorney General, I've sued some of the largest companies in the world like Netflix, Snapchat, and Roblox for taking advantage of our kids by exposing them to dangerous, addictive material. In Washington, I will not stop fighting to protect Texas children from big tech hurting our kids. We live in dangerous times, and that's exactly why I'll support our military and be ready to confront the threat from Communist China, which is our #1 geopolitical enemy. Just a few weeks ago, I helped establish the first ever detransition clinic in the country at Texas Children's Hospital. This will help kids reverse the damage caused by radical doctors who tried to transition them. And in the Senate, I will never back down from taking on the woke mob. I've also seen firsthand how bad judges can destroy our freedom and force a liberal agenda on Texas. That's why I will be dedicated to confirming judges who will uphold and defend the Constitution. So now it's time to finish this, Texas. We have until November to come together and bring as many people into this campaign as possible, defeat James Tallarico, and deliver for our state. Yes. I can't thank you enough for your support and your hard work and your vote. Thank you for making history. God bless you, God bless Texas, and God bless the United States of America.
In the runoff for the GOP Senate nomination come November, the incumbent Attorney General unseating incumbent Senator John Cornyn, who earlier said that he would in fact be voting for Paxton in the general election in November. Paxton scoring this win days after getting an endorsement from President Trump. Paxton crediting the president, saying when everyone in Washington told him to abandon me and abandon the people of Texas, he didn't listen. President Trump is a leader of our party. His endorsement is the most powerful force in politics. So John Cornyn's 24-year Senate career will come to an end. Come November, it will be Ken Paxton for the Republicans, James Tallarico for Democrats. Paxton already saying that Tallarico is a threat to everything we hold dear. Tallarico had earlier called Paxton the most corrupt politician in America. and invited Cornyn supporters to back him, saying there is room in our campaign for you. So the stage now set for what is sure to be a very expensive race, a very high-stakes race. As Republicans try to hold on to a Senate seat, Democrats will look to win statewide in Texas for the first time since James Tallarico was 5 years old. That was 32 years ago. This has been AP Election Night coverage from Washington. I am Sagar Meghani. Coming up next, you will get to watch replays of both John Cornyn's concession speech and Ken Paxton claiming victory. Have a good night.